what is cybersecurity and how we are going to protect the assets of and company using different products, and a quick intro about all the on-premises and some of the cloud security related products. So before starting up, let me quickly go ahead and give you guys a quick intro about myself. So my name is Prem, and I work as a cybersecurity expert for past a decade. And I have along with me Jagan. He is also a cybersecurity expert with over a decade of experience. So we together work within cloud security products to protect companies from any of the emerging threats, risks, and everything. So yep, let's go ahead. And even before starting up, I just wanted to give you guys a quick rule of our session. So if you guys do have any questions or anything, if you're not able to follow or something like that, please use the chat window and post your questions, and we'll be happy to help you out. All right. Let's keep it a little bit interactive. If you guys want to speak up, you can always use the chat window. If you guys have any questions that needs an immediate answer, you can stop me and we can proceed forward with that. All right. So basically, what is security? Do you guys, anyone want to use the chat, or if you wish, you can unmute yourself and go ahead and explain what do you know about security? You can use the chat window, or you can unmute yourself and you can go ahead and start. Okay, we have a chat. Protecting your assets from external threats. Excellent. Sounds good. So, yes, protecting the assets from external threats. That's a very good note. But let's go ahead and start from the very basics, very scratch of how security evolved and what made the world to have a security posture in order to protect any of the organization or an enterprise environment from any of these kind of emerging threats or attacks, right? So basically, security means protecting something from someone. Okay, so we do have physical security, we do have cyber security, we do have information security, a lot, right? So basically, security means we are protecting something from someone. All right, so we do have a major difference between an information security and a cyber security. All right, so information security means protecting your information from any of the attacks or any of the cyber attack vectors. So basically, there would be a lot of emerging threat vectors. When I say threat vectors, it means that people who are from an unauthorized websites, or people who are with bad intentions would want to exfiltrate the data out from your environment or from your company. Exfiltrate in the sense they are stealing the data from your machine to use for their own purposes, right? So end of the day, we are going to protect the data, right? So that is what called as information security. Okay. Now, on the other hand, we do have cybersecurity. What is cybersecurity? Basically, protecting your asset, which is your endpoint machines, from any of the attacks or threat or risk or vulnerabilities or anything. We'll discuss about those topics on the go. And cybersecurity means that we are going to protect your organization with the complete suite of protocols. Say, for example, you have an emerging threat which is attacking your endpoint machines, and hence you're going to block them from attacking. So, how are we going to defend ourselves from these kind of attacks? So, it could be anything. It could be an insider threat. It could be someone who is purposefully sending you some sort of attack, say for example brute force guessing your password spraying attack, again guessing the password within a very minimal time, and there are a lot more to come, right? So we do have different aspects of threats that could be infiltrated into your organization, and their end goal is to steal the data. So that is what is like protecting your cybersecurity entire posture. So cybersecurity consists of protecting your assets, protecting your data, and all the other aspects of your endpoint machines. When I say endpoint machines, it's the user's assets. It could be a machine, it could be a Windows machine, or it could be a Mac machine, or anything, even an mobile phone. When a company is offering all their people with their mobile phones, even that is considered to be an asset, because they will store their data. They can do anything they want in aspect of the company's procurement information. All right. So this is the basics of security and information security, cyber security. Okay. Do you guys have any doubts still here? Anyone have any doubts, or you would like to have some more information about information security and cyber security? All right, I'll take it as a no, and then let's proceed forward. So, why do you think that protecting an asset means directly proportional to like protecting your organization from any of these cyber attacks? Why do you think that protecting an assets would eventually protect your machines? Basically, so protecting your assets in the sense like you would be able to protect your machines from any sort of live hacking, or there is nothing called as like a live hacking. It could be either a targeted attack, or it could be a campaign where an attacker is just sending the signal to the entire world, and whoever responds to those signals, they being a victim. Or it could be something potentially where hackers would like to target a specific organization like an automobile industry or a finance industry or anything as such. So they will target and they will try to breach their organization. So now, as a security expert or as a security engineer or an analyst, we have to protect the assets, meaning they will try to breach your environment using their own tools in order to first infiltrate into your network. So once they come into your network, they try to breach your endpoint machines and then they exfiltrate the data. So to conclude, if you protect your assets from any of those sorts of attack, then it means that you're protecting your entire environment and you're protecting your data from being stolen and being sold to anyone else who is competing within your organization, or someone who is outside. There are few types of threats, which is like an insider threat and an outsider threat. So we can also discuss about those things if you guys are very interested, and then we will move on. All right. So let's go ahead and start. So when we talk about the importance of the security and protecting your assets and everything, so what really comes to your mind? What do you think that protecting an asset, or how do you think it will make a difference in helping your organization to protect your data? How do you think that protecting, or like how do you think that preventing an attacker could save any of your data? Or why do you really think that people do have, or an enterprise organization do have an security engineer or an security analyst? What do you think their roles could be? You can use the chat window, or you can unmute yourself and you can talk. We can have it very interactive. Why do you think environments do have, or an organization is hiring a security engineer or a security analyst? Or how do you think hiring a security engineer or a security analyst will make a very big difference? To keep their assets protected proactively. Excellent. That is one very good point. Anyone else would want to try? Go ahead, you can try. Why do you see like in LinkedIn, you guys are seeing like lots of positions that are being opened for a security engineer, security analyst, and if you look at the roles and responsibilities, they'll be like, you have to protect the data, you have to protect the data. But what exactly is meant by protecting a data? Or like, why do they even have security engineers? All right, let me go ahead and explain you. So hiring a security engineer or being a security engineer or a security analyst, their end goal is to protect the data, but they will not be directly working on protecting the data alone, right? So say for example, I have a Windows 11 machine. It's a normal Windows machine, and the make of the laptop is ThinkPad, Lenovo ThinkPad, and I'm going to store each and every information in my own machine over here, right? So I do have another Mac machine. I'm gonna like save all my documents. I'm going to have a lot of data about my own personal things and also about my office related information about my institute, how it's going to work, how it's going to run. So I do have some precious data which is available in my computer, right? So it can be useful for someone else. They can come in and they can take and they can use it for their own reference and they can grow eventually, right? So how am I going to protect it? So me being an individual, I can be very cautious at clicking an email and be very vigilant about phishing emails, because like I have some sort of like what a basic understanding of what is security. Say for example, you have an organization and the organization is consists of like 500 employees. Okay. And the organization is not exactly related to security based organization or anything. Let's keep it as very simple. They are an e-commerce company like Amazon, Flipkart. They're very small scale business who sell few products. Okay, but that is like a very a booming product, I can say. And if someone is stealing any data from those organization, it's gonna be very helpful for the a high level e-commerce people like Flipkart, Amazon, and everyone else, right? So those tech giants can take the data and they can use it for their own good profit. So if say for example, if that company is gonna hire someone as a security engineer, their main motive is to protect their asset. Their main motive is to protect. How am I going to protect my machine? And how am I going to like help my organization from any sort of live attacks? So when we talk about these kind of attacks or these kind of like protecting my machine from the outsider or even from an insider, I don't want, because like people might plug in their USB and they can take the information out and they can sell it outside. Or say for example, I'm going to work for a startup company and I see the company is like doing a very good operations perspective, and I want to take those things and I can build my own organization, right? Anything can be possible, anything can be done. We can't restrict anyone from doing this or doing that, but we know how it works, right? So me being an individual who have good security knowledge, I can be very vigilant about what am I browsing in open internet, and what should I have to click and what should I not have to click. So I know each and everything. But comparatively to an e-commerce company, there will be a lot of people who are working very hard for their bread, and they are like putting their 100%. And at the end, if they fail to protect their assets, then they are done, right? So they hire security engineer in order to make sure that their assets are being protected. And if you look very closely into those LinkedIn searches or about security engineers or analysts, there would be one very common topic in all of those roles and responsibilities, which is very basic. You need to understand what are the types of cyber threats that are active and what are all some of the cyber threats that could come into their environment, right? Because like I know as a security expert, yes, so this is in live attack. I have to turn off my machine, or either I have to disconnect from any of the network, or I have to stop using any of the public Wi-Fi, or I can restrict myself by using an endpoint security solution. But what if I'm not doing any of those things? What are all the things that can happen to my endpoint? Anyone can come in and anyone can hack my machine. Hacking is nothing but bypassing your security solutions. They can bypass, they can take the data, they can steal it, and they can use it for their own preference, right? So now talking about types of threats, I wanted to go from the very basics. There are three main concepts within types of cyber threats or attacks. Okay, so it's a risk, a threat, and a vulnerability. Okay, so these three things will always be and are being eventually being discovered by many of the security researchers and even the attackers. So it is an ever ending, and it's gonna evolve a lot. And right now with the new AI and everything, we are having huge number of threats, risks, and vulnerabilities in the cyber world. Okay, so basically let's understand what is a threat. Okay, threat is something, to be in a plain English, it's like threatening someone. Say for example, let's take the COVID situation and put risk, threat, and vulnerability into that situation, and let's try to connect so that like everyone can understand very easily about what is a risk, what is a threat, and what is a vulnerability. Please make a very a keen note of these three pointers, because this is something that we do see on every organization. If you're going to get hired as a security engineer or an analyst, or if you have to, or if you have an idea of getting into the world of cybersecurity, you must know what is a risk, what is a threat, what is a vulnerability. Okay, so what is a threat? Basically, if there is a group of people that are like standing without any mask, or they don't have any cautions, they are not using any uh, anything to protect themselves from the COVID, then it means that they are very prone to attack. It doesn't mean that I'm going to go over there, but it means that if I see a group of people who are standing, like 10 people, who are not wearing masks, they are not maintaining any social distance, and if I'm going to go over there, it means that I have a higher possibility of getting the virus, right? If I'm not going over there, if I'm restricting myself, then I'm not going to get anything from my end. If I'm being safe, then I'm saved. So that is kind of a threat. A threat might kill you, okay, whereas a risk will kill you. Means that if I'm going over there and I'm standing along with them, the people who are not maintaining social distance, the people who are not taking very cautious amongst themselves, and they are very prone to attack, and there could be a high possibility where there are like one or two people who might already have something, and if I'm going over there and shaking my hand with them and in a direct contact with them, yes, I'm going to get the virus, whatever they do have, right? A threat might kill you and a risk will kill you. So this is the two main thing. Even if you're appearing for any interview, Say for example, it could be a basic, an entry level analyst one, an engineer one, or anything. People will ask you what is the main difference between a threat and a risk. A threat might kill you. Having a threat in your organization means that it has the potential to attack your machine, but it's not going to do anything unless or until your machine is very poor, your machine is very weak. When I say weak, it doesn't have proper security tools or it doesn't have proper security products, then having a threat in your organization is going to impact. And towards the end, it's going to lead some attacker to bypass your security, steal whatever is present, and then go out safely. All right. Whereas a risk means that it's going to have a potential impact. It's going to impact your organization. Okay. A type of threat is like a Trojan. If you guys have already known about Trojan horse, it's nothing but it will act as a good application, but on the back end, it will open backdoors. When I say backdoors, it's like giving some people unwanted access to your machine. Say for example, 10 years back, we all had uTorrent, right? So uTorrent is a very good application. It was written in a very good note in order to download movies, download songs, or do whatever you want. It's just a collective database of what is required for the end user. Okay, so it was developed in a very good note and it was open source for everyone. But unfortunately, those software engineers who written the program, who wrote it, who secured it, who deployed it on the open internet, they didn't maintain those uTorrent websites at all. So what happened? Two Chinese hackers exfiltrated all the information from the website and replaced them with their own malicious code. What is a malicious code? It's like every application will be written in a note. Okay. If I'm creating an application which will help the end user, it's a good thing. If I'm creating an application to steal the data, it's a bad thing. So a good software is a normal software. A bad software, a malicious software is called malware. That's how the name derives. Malicious plus software, malware. Okay, so a Trojan at uTorrent, it's like back in 10 years, back 10 years or 12 years, it was all good. But unfortunately, if you download a uTorrent right now, and if you try to like download a movie, yes, it will download a movie. It has the capability of downloading a movie, but on the back end, if you look at the network analysis or if you capture a network traffic, you'll be surprised to see that it is opening some of the other connections with multiple other countries where you never wanted to visit. And from there, you will be receiving some of the commands to your machine. And if you don't have any antivirus installed on your machine, then it's going to deploy like a malicious software, a malware basically, and it's going to like take all the data and send it back. Even we don't even want that, right? So what are some of the other things that an malicious software can do? Meaning like your uTorrent can do. If you type something on your keypad, it has the capability of recording your keystrokes. And if you're opening your camera, it has the ability of even without letting the user know, it would record automatically start recording your video, and people can use it for their own purposes, wherein like they will hack your machine and they will say they will scare you. That is called scareware, scaring software, scareware, right? So we have lots of things. If they want you to pay something, then it means that ransom has to be paid. So a software which is being written in order to get money from people. Those are all called ransomware. Ransom plus software. So they attack your machine, they lock everything, they encrypt your data, and in order to decrypt the data, they will ask for money, which eventually will not happen. But yes, this is what is happening globally, right? So having an uTorrent is not going to potentially impact your endpoint machine immediately, but having the same uTorrent for a longer time of period is going to open a lot of backdoors for other people in the country or to the world, and they're going to come into your machine, and slowly they will breach your machine, and even without you knowing they are in, they will steal everything from your machine, right? So having a threat in your organization doesn't mean that it's going to have an impact immediately. It's going to have an impact, but not immediately, but eventually you will have those sort of attacks happening very soon. So protecting your asset for a threat, you have to act accordingly. So if you receive a low level of threat, if your mission is saying, hey, there is something which I don't feel it is a very good thing to have in my organization, what can I do right now? So either you can remove it or you can check with the end user, and you being like someone is hiring you, they will ask you, okay, so you have a threat, how will you react? Threat could be something like a Trojan. It opens a malicious backdoor. It acts like a good application, but on the back end, it will do malicious activity. So I will not immediately take an action, but I will see what the application is doing. And based on that, I will take the relevant actions. Okay, because like we cannot expect the security people cannot expect the developer to stop doing everything, right? A developer, like you might be deployed to anything, like you can be hired to any company. You can be hired to Google, Microsoft, Amazon, or any other company, Flipkart, let it be an e-commerce, a finance company, JP Morgan Chase. Like people will be there developing their own tools, their own applications. They never know what will happen. So as far as you know what is a threat and you know what is a risk. Okay, so they are developing a tool, and that specific tool looks very anonymous to you. You write a proper email to them stating that, hey, we have received lots of traffic from your machine. Looks like it is whatever the tool that you're using, it's opening some backdoor. So please don't use it. You might see people working in development scenario like a software engineer, software developer, or some testing engineer, or people from finance team or from administration team. They might use lots of softwares, right? So they might use something like a keylogger, or they want something like to be done very extensively well good. They will opt for something which is good in the market, like hey, I want to create a new PPT for my recent session, say for example. So they're going to like share everything on the artificial intelligence, and they will click on I agree. As soon as they click on I agree, there will be a lot of traffics that are going to come into their environment, and you being a security engineer, you will be monitoring those assets, and you will see like, okay, so that is something is coming up, and I want to talk to the developer. So if you go talk to the developer, if you don't know what is a threat and a risk, it will be very hard. But if you know what is a threat and a risk, you can go back to the specific developer, and you can say like, hey, this is something very wrong. Yes, whatever you're doing is good for the organization, it's good for your own development, but it's not good for um, your data. It's not protected, or it's very prone to attack. You have to be very careful in doing these sort of like activities. You have to protect your environment, so you have to write an formal email. So for that, you have to know what is a threat and what is a risk. Say for example, let's since we have discussed about threat and risk, let's think that you guys are like from are being hired for a security engineer or an analyst role. Okay, so let's put it in this way. I'm going to give you guys a quick like a scenario. Let me see how you guys are going to respond. Think that you are a security engineer or an analyst. I will give you a scenario. You let me know what type of action you're going to take. Okay, so you're going to work for a company, and this is in a security plus a CompTIA security plus live question, which has been asked in the latest syllabus SYO 501. Okay, if you have any, like if you have like plans of doing security certifications, I'm just giving you a live scenario. Okay, so there is a company called ABC, which is an e-commerce company. Okay, and they are protecting their data, and they are protecting their assets. They have good security products installed on everything is all good. And there is an employee, okay, who is trying to download a file from a website. Say for example, the user is opening Chrome, okay, and they are visiting a website. Okay, and the website is an HTTPS. It's a secured website. Okay, and the user is having a basic knowledge of what is security and everything. Okay, so the user is not visiting any unsecured website. It's not an HTTP, it's an HTTPS, which is a secured website, which is encrypted, which is all good. They are downloading a file. Okay, and the employee downloaded the file, and it is used for tax computation. All right, so when you download a tax computation sheet, it will have macros, meaning it will have scripts within those files. Okay, so once they download the file, you do not get any alert, you do not see any malicious activity. Okay, but once the employee from the ABC company who is working for finance organization, when he tried to put on something like some values, inputting some values to the columns, and you suddenly received an email, okay, from one of your security products, and it says like a potential threat activity occurred. What is the next action that you will take? First, are you going to block the activity? Second, are you going to investigate the activity? Third, are you going to check with the user about what is the file that you have downloaded? Are you going to take an immediate action, or you're going to take an investigative approach? You can use the chat window, or you can unmute yourself. Block it. Okay. Anyone else would want to participate? Or if you guys have something in mind, say for example, okay, so as Karthik said, I'm going to block it. Similarly, you guys might have thought something, right? So let's go from the basics again, right? So it's a threat. What is a threat? It might kill you, right? Having a threat in your organization might have an impact, but it's not going to make any immediate impact, right? And it's a finance organization. Okay, so you being a security engineer, so if you see a threat activity, and I mentioned it's a tax computation sheet, which is very important for a finance based organization, right? What if they're going to file a tax for a very big client? Say for example, $25 million, they're going to file a tax for it, and the sheet which they have downloaded was from HTTPS website. right? The sum of the calculated value was calling a script which looked very anonymous. So it's not very good. So like if you're going to directly block it, then you are stopping $25 million of tax being paid for that specific client. So a transaction of a huge amount was stopped because of the security team. Then we might be in a very bad situation, right? So blocking it, directly blocking it, it's gonna hamper our productivity. It's directly going to impact your company's revenue. Inform it to security team. But over here, we are the security team, right? So what can we do? We are the security team. I cannot directly go ahead and block something which is a threat. Excellent. Investigated. Why do you have to investigate? Because over here now comes the subordinate of types of threats. We have false positive, we have true positive. Okay. False positive means it could be malicious, but no, it's actually like a very good file. Unfortunately, the security products that the company used flagged it as malicious because it was looking anonymous. But by looking into the macros, it was good. Make a note, the employee from the finance organization, he or she downloaded it from HTTPS website, meaning it's a secured website. Anything that you are uploading on a secured website will be electronically verified, e-verified, which is it will have a valid certificate. If someone is authorizing a file stating that, hey, I know this file, I have investigated the macros, I have investigated the script, it doesn't do any bad activity. It is not going to harm your endpoint. It is not going to harm your machines. It's not going to steal any data. It's just a script to calculate. Lots of mathematical calculations are implemented within the script. That's it. It's not going to do anything. That's how they will electronically verify it. So you have to investigate it. You first of all, you will see what's the threat. It's a threat. We don't have to panic, right? If you are in panic, then we will block it. And you will eventually get a call from your higher management like CFO or CEO or a CASO. They will give you a call and they will say like, why did you block $25 million of revenue? Right? So we have to be very cautious in what sort of action we are going to take. So you are going to investigate it. You will see from Chrome, it was connecting to a secured website and then it was getting downloaded. Very good. And then now it was just doing some mathematical calculations. So I will go ahead and check whether that file was electronically verified. How can you check any of the file? By checking the file properties. Right click a file, go to the properties, and you can see under security whether it is electronically verified. Does it have a proper certificate? If it doesn't have proper certificate, you will go ahead and block it. If it carries a valid certificate, it means that someone has properly investigated it and there are no problems within the script and you're all good to go. Investigate is important at first before blocking the activity. Exactly. Investigation is very, very important whenever you are doing any sort of activity. Now, I'm going to ask you a second question. This question, I'm just reading it from my one of my other laptop. Okay, it's a live question. So this is for CYO, which is Cybersecurity Analyst Certification, which is again offered by CompTIA Security Plus. Okay, so the second scenario goes like this. You have an organization. the organization name is, let's keep the name as ABC again. Let's keep it as an e-commerce company this time. It can be Amazon, Flipkart. It's just an e-commerce company. Okay. So the user is trying to surf in the internet in order to identify their competitive products. Okay. How much the other e-commerce companies are selling a tech product. Say, for example, they are selling a monitor for 25,000 rupees. And you are seeing that the same monitor is like going in very hot and you want to sell it at 20,000 rupees. Okay. So you are calculating lots of things. You are checking what's the price from the store. You're checking it from the other competitors. You're doing lots of investigations, and the ABC company, which is an e-commerce company, is also like doing a lot of activity. So over here, okay, while doing these sort of activities by an e-commerce engineer, by an influencer, or by someone, a data analyst, okay, so he's doing lots of calculations, he's doing a lot of statistical analysis, and they are deriving into one conclusion by using a tool. Okay, till the time they were utilizing the tool, it was all good. Okay, the data analyst used a tool, and the tool was downloaded from an HTTP website. Now it's not a secured website, it's an HTTP website. Okay, unfortunately, you received an email to your inbox that this is a risk. Now, what is the activity that you will take? Will you investigate it? Will you block it? Will you check what is really happening from user's perspective, or all of the above? Block it immediately. Excellent. Block. The first flag is an. Someone has any question? All right. So we will block it. We will block the activity immediately. No such activities, or like no investigation is needed. Yes, investigation is needed, but first of all, block. Being a security engineer, you got a red flag, which is they have downloaded it from HTTP website. And though the data analyst is very educated, let's say, for example, they have a PhD, they have a doctorate in data analyst, and they know each and everything. They know how to surf the internet. They know like how to browse through the internet and get the value things out from it. They are doing a lot of statistical operations, arithmetic derivations, everything. But end of the day, they fail to download the tool from a secured website, which is intent returned as a risk for their organization. Having a risk means potentially losing your data as well. So you will immediately go ahead and block it, right? But there is one more thing. You are blocking it. What if this is also going to be a revenue blocker? What can we do at this stage? First, did not use HTTPS. Correct. Very good. HTTPS, if they do not use HTTPS, then it's from a non-ethical site. So we have to block them. Blocking is very good. But what if it is going to potentially block your revenue? This is a live interview question as well. It was asked for one of my trainee. What will you do? Like, it's a e-commerce company. Everyone is like selling their products at the best value. Even a security engineer is going to get salaried by the products the company are selling, right? So even they are funded by how the revenue is going to be for the company. what if it's a risk, but you're blocking it and it's going to potentially impact your organization, but it's an risk that you have to take. So what is the thing that comes to your mind that, hey, yeah, I can do something for this? Aware them about important security point. Okay. Just like try for yourself, like what can we do? Like say for example, it's a risk. Okay. I know that me being a security engineer, or let's take like we are all going to work in one team. Okay. We all know that it's going to be an risk having that in my organization, but it's eventually going to hamper my company's data protection, right? So instead, what I can do, I can check for alternates. If I can see something in HTTP, yes, I can also see something in HTTP, which is like an unsecured website. It could be a clone of something from an secured website, right? So people will create like a good software, and eventually people who have bad intention will clone the same software. It will look like a good software, but in the backend, it will post like a bad software. That is called a Trojan activity, right? It's like a good application. It was written in good intention, but bad people are using it for bad things. So what you can do here, I can go ahead, search for alternates. I can go ahead and educate yes, aware them, educate them in order to understand what is cybersecurity delivery, how can we protect. Everything is okay. But again, it's going to block, right? It's going to block us. So what we can create is a very secured network where we can remove the analyst from our network, and we can ask them to work whatever is needed and don't connect it to the network. Only if you connect it to the network, your organization's like secure documents will be hacked, will be bypassed. But what if you securely remove the data analyst from your network? That is called isolation. Okay. So please make a very quick note of it. When you have a threat or a risk, the first activity, yes, we will block it. I completely agree, but we have to isolate them, remove them, remove them from the actual thing, what is being worked upon. Remove the data analyst. If you're going to work for, or if you guys are having any industrial experience, or if you're an like a college goer, or you're a final year student, you might be knowing that a company will have multiple teams, and they will all work for individual operations, and they all have their own network, right? So end of the day, everyone will be protected under one perimeter firewall, but yes, we can remove them. So directly informing, or like directly discussing about like blocking it, instead of blocking it, why don't we isolate them? It's a better opportunity that we can do, right? Because it's directly going to impact your revenue, right? So that is how we can go ahead and protect an information from being from being stolen or something. So talking about information and protecting the asset and everything, I would like to call Jagan to share few things about like how he is protecting some of his organization from any of the cyber attacks by protecting an application, right? By protecting an asset. So there are few security products out there. Okay. Let's hear from Jagan about some of the security products.
Definitely, Crane. Hello, team. Hello, everyone.
You're audible, Jagan. Go ahead.
Okay, that's good. So, as Prem mentioned, I'm Jagannathan and have a decade of experience. And cybersecurity is one of my most, uh, the lovable work I do. So, yeah. And as Prem mentioned, we're going to protect the applications, right? When I talk about the applications, I wanted to introduce something called as cloud security. How many of us, or how many of you guys know, like, what is a cloud security is? You can unmute yourself or you can use the chat window. What is cloud security? Okay, let me put this question another way around. How many of us know what is cloud computing? You can raise your hands. You can use the reaction button if you know. You can answer it. All right, fine, no problem. I'll explain what is a cloud computing is, and then we'll go on to the cloud security part. So when it comes to the cloud computing, all right, so anything that we're going to use the remote servers on the internet to store, manage, and process the data. For example, we use the cloud computation on daily basis, right? For storage purposes, for computing purposes, right? Uh, to give an example, we have OneDrive or we have the Google Drive, wherein the information what you're using is stored in the cloud. I mean, but likely to say it's not the cloud. It is being stored on the server, which is located elsewhere. We do not know where it is. But one thing we know about the cloud computation is we can access the data anywhere in the world. No matter what device you use, no matter where you are, you can access the information without any trouble. That's cloud computation, right? Because when you have your information, let's talk about the old days, right? The days when we had the storages, we have hard disks, we have pen drives coming in, right? So when you have the data with you, you had the information in your hard disk, which is in your computer. But when you have to transfer anything to your colleagues or friends, you will have to use your flash drive, right? Or you'll have to either copy it to a CD drive and then transfer it. I mean, give it to your friend. He's going to use it. And then came the flash drive to copy the data, and then you give the flash drive to your friends or colleagues. So the data transfer happened. But now you don't have to worry about all those things. You just have to save your data in the cloud. All right. Have the data in the cloud, create a link and share it with your colleagues or friends. So those data can be accessed and they can be in any part of the world. Doesn't have to be near you. They can be any part in the world. The data can be transferred. Now, when this data can be transferred to anyone, do we have or should we have to protect those data? Yes, no. Yes, that's good answer. So, and even Gopi answered our applications are in cloud, but there's a huge vacuum in cloud security. Exactly. So there is a huge gap in the cloud security part, wherein to protect the information. But how are we going to protect the information which is in the cloud? Because those are not in our machines, right? The information is in the cloud. So how are we going to protect it? We have multiple products supporting them, right? We have multiple products protecting them. But the techniques used by those products is what we're going to see. We're not going to talk about how a particular product is going to work. Yeah, of course, VPNs and firewalls is one of the basic criteria. But how about VPN? VPN is something which is going to connect. It's going to create a virtual network. For example, I have my information, and say, for example, I work in an organization, right? The organization has the information in their own server, but again, that's again a local server. It's not a cloud server then, right? So I have my own server, and if I have to access my company's information, I cannot directly access the information there because I use a public internet and they have a private internet. So connecting from a public internet to a private internet is not possible because the firewall, what they're going to have is going to block it. So in that situation, my company will be providing me a virtual private network. So I connect VPN, and through that, I'll be able to access the information what my company has. But in cloud, VPNs and firewall is not going to work. We do have security, yes. We have like products like um, Sophos, Zscaler, even Microsoft has Azure. So any multiple products are there to protect the information, but VPN and firewall alone is not going to help. So to protect the information within the cloud, we have to use the techniques in blocking it, right? So the techniques, what we're going to talk about is about the identification. First, let's talk about the way how the cloud computation is working, right? Let's talk about what are the different computing services we have, what are the different models we have. So anybody knows how many different types of cloud computing services we have? Anybody can answer. Different cloud computing services that uh, Google or Amazon or Microsoft offers. Okay, they are the service providers like AWS, Azure, or Google Cloud Platform. They are the service providers. But within the cloud, we have different types of models that we have. For example, to say we have IaaS, which is infrastructure as a solution. We have PaaS, which is platform as a solution, and we have SaaS, exactly, which is software as a solution, exactly. And when I talk about infrastructure as a solution, again, the complete infrastructure is what I'm going to take. And one good thing about the cloud, the computation is it's like a pay as you go or pay as you use. So whatever the things that you're using, you're going to pay only for that information or for that particular details, not for everything. But wherein if you're going to have a local environment, you're going to have your own architecture here. But whereas in IaaS, you're just going to use the service, whatever the things that you're going to use, and have it with yourself. And platform as a service, again, you're just going to have make a use of that platform and get the information coming in. Software as a service is nothing but you're just going to upload a software in their cloud and then get the information. One good example about the SaaS is going to be with your IBM Cloud is one of your not only IBM Cloud. You can also talk about your um, Salesforce. What else? You have Oracle Cloud. So all those things are PaaS because you're going to use their platform to have your applications being used. And we have SaaS, which is software as a service, wherein I'll be only using a particular software uploaded in their platform, and I have all my people use it. Can anybody give an example of SaaS application? SaaS, anything. I mean, I'm sure most of us would have used it. Not most, everyone would have used it. I'll give a very good example about the SaaS is your Netflix, right? Netflix is one of the SaaS application. Zoom, if obviously, Zoom is one of the SaaS application. And we have what else apart from Zoom? We have your emails, your Outlook, your Gmail, because you're gonna use only that particular service as a software, and you're gonna log in and make use of that particular information alone and come out. Yes, Dropbox, exactly. So these are the many applications that we have. Now, when we say about the applications, all these applications, what it is going to do, it is going to maintain some data, isn't it? It is going to maintain the information there. So say, for example, let's take about this call. This call is being recorded and it's going to be in the Zoom, right? So now the call has to be protected. Not everyone should have access to this recording. So let's say, suppose, let's not have everyone to access this recording. Now, I should be protecting this information, right? How will I be able to protect it? What kind of uh, what kind of technologies I can use to protect it? First of all, how will I know how to protect it? Yeah. Right. So yeah, let me first, okay, encryption key. Okay, that's one thing that we can, yeah, encryption key is good. But if I have an organization, okay, am I only going to use Zoom, or will I be having multiple applications in the environment? Come on, guys. Is it going to be Zoom only or multiple applications? Multiple, right? So if I have multiple applications in the environment, how will I be able to know I have so many applications in the environment there? First of all, I'll have to discover what applications or cloud applications I have, right? So discovering is the first technique or method that I'll be using. I'll be discovering all the applications I have, and I'll have to have a visibility on how the cloud app usage is going to occur. Like every application will have its own usage. For example, to say we have a mail application. So the usage of mail application is going to be done by every employee in the organization. So the usage of that application is going to be a little more high. And I will have some of the production applications wherein, say, like a ticketing tool. So ticketing tool, again, every employee is going to use, but when compared to email, the ticketing application can be a little of less usage there. And we have a Dropbox application, which is, again, only when I need the Dropbox, I'll be uploading the information or I'll be downloading the information. So the usage of that application is less. So I need to have the visibility of what are the usage of those applications. Let's say the usage of the Dropbox is going to be, uh, very high rather than the other applications. The mail application is of less usage. The ticketing application is of less usage, but all of a sudden, I'm getting a spike in the usage volume of the Dropbox application, right? So what could be the issue there? We do not know what it is. So we're going to investigate on that particular part. So in these are the situations where we will have to analyze the visibility or the usage of the applications there. So when we know the usage of the application is consumably high, then in that situation, we know there is kind of an attack that's happening in the environment, and we will have to be more cautious in safeguarding the applications coming out. So in that situation, we can either log in and investigate like who are the users that have logged into the uh, Dropbox application and what kind of activity that has happened in the application. Say if there is an upload of files or if there is a download of files. So all those things can be monitored when I have a visibility on the application, right? And then, so we talked about the discovery of the application, and we talked about the visibility of that particular application, usage visibility. And now we're going to protect the app against the threats from anywhere in the cloud. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter the employee or the attack can happen internally. The attack can also happen externally, right? So I'll have to protect the application and the information protection and the compliance of the compliance assessment, right? So I discovered that I have the visibility on the usage part. and I'm protecting the application is all fine. Now, after protection, should I have to maintain a standard of having the protection coming in? How will I be able to monitor by assessment? I should have some kind of compliance score, right? Say, if I have like 10 applications coming in, I'll have to make sure the 10 applications is coming into a score so that I have a compliance score ready for all those applications. So only then I'll be able to manage my applications without any problem. Uh, to calculate the compliance scores, the tool is going to do that. But I need to protect my application to have the compliance with the compliance score so that I'll be ensuring that my applications in the cloud are secure enough so that it can be safeguarded against any kind of attack, right? So first of all, I'll have to be discovering my applications. Like I need to know what are the applications I have, and I need to know what are the usage visibility on those applications. And I'll be protecting them against the threats, and I'll have to have a compliance score on those applications. So when you have all these four things, you have a very good environment in the very good environment of protecting your applications. That's one thing. Now, when I have the compliance score coming in, you will have to have uh, the protection against your applications, right? Now, every app is not the same thing. Every app is not going to work in the same manner. Each and every app it has its own way of working. I mean, like a work experience or a work model, right? So in this situation, if I talk about a mail application, users are going to log in, check the emails, download any attachments, and come out. If I'm going to talk about the ticketing tool, I'll be logging in, check my tickets. If there are new tickets coming in, I'll be working on it and I'll come out. And if there is a Dropbox application, I'll be uploading or downloading a file based on the uh, I mean, these are the work models that every application has it, right? So if I have to give the same kind of security posture to all my applications, or should I be varying the security posture for the applications? Come on, team. This question is, should I be having the same kind of security given to all the applications, or should I have to leverage some of the activities on the applications? Anybody can answer. Your chat window is open, or you can unmute yourself. Just think. Every application has its own work model. So should I have to give any leverage? I mean, should I have to leverage anything on those applications, or should I have to give the same kind of security on all those applications? Fine, then I'm getting the hesitations for answering here. Well, okay, let me answer you. So I'll have to leverage some of the applications because every application has its own way of work model, right? So I cannot give the same kind of security to all the applications. It is going to differ between the applications. It is definitely going to differ between one application to another application there. So I'll have to have that uh, uh, limitations, and I'll have to have the privilege for using the information. So if some applications going to use a critical data, so I'll have to give more. I'll have to give more security posture to that particular application. But some will not have the critical data coming in, so I can leverage some of the file transfers on those applications there. And not only the privilege part, the permissions. I cannot give access to everything to everyone in the company. In that situation, a first level employee will have a certain level of permissions, and a top level employee or management employee will have certain level of permissions, and that we call it as an RBAC, role based access control. So that's one way where you can manage your permissions which you're giving it to the employees in the company there. So I've protected my applications. I have a security compliance core ready, and I'm also having an app-to-app protection services. Like I know what kind of permissions to be given. I know what kind of privileges to be given. Are these things enough to protect those applications, or should I have to have any more, um, anything else, or any more kind of security that I'll have to ensure those applications are secured? I've discovered the application. I know what kind of usage it has, and I'm protecting it. And I have a security compliance code as well for the protection part. All these things are done. And I also have an app to app protection to give what kind of privilege and what kind of permission is all done. Is this enough, or do you think I need a little more to protect the applications? All right. No one is ready to answer. Fine. So I need a little more thing to protect my application. And what's that little more thing is nothing but the advanced threat protection. Okay. So when I have the advanced protection on that particular application, it's kind of a machine learning part, right? I have the AI part coming in where it's going to automatically have the information, the machine learning, which is also going to use the artificial intelligence, right? So when I have that enabled or integrated with my protection application, it is going to have a very full, it is going to have a very powerful correlation of signal and visibility across all of the advanced attack that is going to happen. So I know I have the visibility on the particular application, right? And I know I'm protecting the application, but when I have the data coming in, because all those information, when I have the security application to protect all my cloud applications, it is going to store those information, right? What if I'm going to give those information to the cloud learning, the machine learning part? It is going to have a kind of a security posture to prevent any sort of advanced attack. What if there is some kind of malfunction that's happening with the application? What if there is some kind of unknown attack that's happening with the machine? We do not know what it is, right? But when I have all these information gathered and I've given it to the machine learning part, this is going to monitor the information or monitor the signals that's going to come in. And if there is any sort of um, unwanted activity happening in the environment, then this will automatically block those activity and it is going to alert the security administrator part there, right? So all these things are happening in the cloud application, and I'll have to ensure the cloud application is protected, which is in the cloud part, and all these things are going to happen based on the visibility, discovery, and the security compliance that I have. All right. So is that enough in protecting the cloud applications alone? Or should I have to also work on the identification of a particular employee? Anybody to answer? Yes, no. Okay. So yeah, I protected my applications, right? But again, as a security administrator or a security professional or an organization, you say no. There's nothing else apart from protecting the identity of a particular employee there. Okay, but yes, we will have to protect it. I'll tell you how. Why? What is the reason for protecting an identity? Right? Have you guys heard about pass the hash or pass the ticket attacks? Yes, no. Pass the ticket or pass the hash attacks? No. Okay, fine. Pass the ticket is nothing but it's a type of an attack which is going to involve the theft and reuse of your authentication credentials, which is called as tickets in the Windows Active Directory environment. Okay. So what happens is when a user logs into a Windows domain, right? We all know we have an Azure Active Directory, which is going to take care of your authorization, authentication part, right? We have the Windows, Active Directory. And so when a user logs in to the Windows domain, the authentication progress generates a ticket that's going to have the user's identity and privilege, which means the information I have, my username and password, and the privilege, like what kind of role am I? So what kind of privileges I have in the environment, all those information will be contained in a ticket in the Active Directory, on the Windows domain part, right? So this ticket is used to authenticate to the other resources on the network without having to enter the password again. So this is simply going to talk about the SSO. And you all know what is an SSO is, right? SSO, which is nothing but single sign-on. You guys know what it is? Single sign-on is? Yes, no. Okay, fine. I'll take the answer as no. So single sign-on is nothing but one password used for multiple applications. Let's say you have your Gmail account, isn't it? So you have Gmail, you have YouTube, and you have your Dropbox, which is again a Google application, right? So in this, you're going to use one common email, which is your Gmail email, to log into your Gmail account. You're going to use the same user credentials for your YouTube, and you're going to use the same user credentials for your Dropbox application too. Okay. So when you logged into Gmail account, and when you have the YouTube installed on the same machine, you need not log in again. So the information which is logged in using the Gmail will be passed on to your YouTube as well as to your um, Dropbox application as well, right? So in that situation, this information is gathered or saved as a ticket. Now, what if an attacker happens to claim the information on to get the ticket, to get the information about your user credentials, right? So because attack cannot be only dealing with the files or your applications that needs to be installed. No, attack can happen to steal your credentials to gain access over your environment as well. So in that situation, I should be more cautious in protecting my identity as well, right? If they can gain the access to my environment, if they know a username and a password of an employee, there are multiple ways to steal the password, like brute force attacks or a password spray. There are multiple ways to steal a credential. But when I have that information with me, I can use this ticket to log in to multiple applications without any, without even knowing that this particular attack is happening to a security administrator. An attacker can easily gain access to all the application to what the user has the privileges on, right? So these are the main reason or main ways that the credentials has to be protected in the environment. So pass the ticket is one of the attack vector where an user can gain the access to steal the authentication credentials. Okay, and that's one way. And the second way is something called as parse the hash, which is nothing but um, our credentials. Our credentials, what we have in the environment. Let's say when you log into a computer, your user information, you generally have this pop-up coming up, right? Whenever you log into a browser, you generally have a pop-up coming in. Do you want to save your password, right? So what happens when you save your password? The next time when you log into the same websites, you need not give the username and password. It will automatically sign you in, isn't it? Is the password happen to be saved in the same format as you type in, or should it be encrypted or hashed and saved in the computer? Yes? Anybody? Should the password be saved in the same format, like whatever what you type in, or should it be encrypted and then saved? Which one is more secure here?
Window. Encrypted.
Someone is answering. I'm not sure. I cannot hear you. Did you say encrypted?
Yes.
Okay, great. Yeah, exactly. So the password, the second one, great. So the password has to be encrypted. Exactly. Now, what if the encrypted password in the hash format? Okay, in the hashed format, it's all like stars or dotted sign. Okay. What I'm doing is I'm not trying to crack what the password is. I'm not trying to access what's the password I have. Say, for example, I have a password as ABCD123. That's my password, and I have encrypted it, and it's in the star format. This pass the hash. What it's going to do is I'm not trying to reveal what's the password here. I'm just going to use this password in the hashed format to use it on the applications to gain access of the application. Can you understand this? I'm not trying to decrypt what's the password is. I'm just using whatever the hashed value. I'm just going to use the same value to to log in using the machine. I'm not going to put this password on the password column. That's not going to work. But I'm going to gain the access on the particular application wherein the hashed password is given in the same way. So the application can authenticate you and log in to the machine. So in that way, I still have access to your machine, right? So we have two types of methods what we dealt. We have passed the ticket and we have passed the hash. So in the pass the ticket, I'm just going to steal the user information and log in using the credentials here. But in the pass the hash, I'm not going to see what's the password is, or I'm not going to crack what's the password is. I'm just going to use the same hash to value and log in the machine there. And we have one more kind of attack, which is overpass the hash. So overpass the hash is nothing but a stolen or forged NTLM hash to create a ticket, which means this is the types what we talked about. Pass the ticket and pass the hash are the two types of methods being used together is the overpass the hash to log into a machine. Okay, so it's just a combination of these two techniques, which is pass the hash and pass the ticket method. What it's going to do is it's going to exploit a weakness in the authentication protocol, right? So this weakness, what we have in the authentication protocol, which is nothing but your NTLM. So when we have a weakness in the authentication protocol, I can use these two methods combined together as overpass the hash value, and I can gain access to your application, or I can gain access to the environment. So now here we talked about protecting the application and we talked about protecting the credentials as well, because protecting the credentials is also important, that an attacker can try to use your own credentials to log into your machine. I'll have to I want to try giving an example here. When I was working in one of the organization, a customer came in and he said that my machines are all attacked with ransomware, right? And when I checked the antivirus part, what is the antivirus the customer is using? The machine did not have any of the antivirus. And when I say the machine is not protected, he said I had the antivirus installed on the machine. So when I checked the logs, because any antivirus when you uninstall as well, we have an uninstallation logs. So when I checked the uninstallation logs, I saw a particular user has uninstalled the antivirus product. And that user is nothing but the administrator itself who uninstalled the product, but the administrator did not know who has done it. So when I gave him the logs, I showed him that, see, this is the administrator who has uninstalled the antivirus product from your machine. The customer was not able to answer anymore because it was not him who uninstalled it. Because it was someone who tried or who has the information about the administrator credentials, the username and password. So in that way, when I have this information, I can be easily be able to uninstall the applications what I have, and I can easily gain access to all your other data or applications which I have in the machine. So it is as important that you safeguard your endpoint or application. It is also important to safeguard your credentials. Now, you guys can tell me what are the methods that you can safeguard the credentials? Just the normal method, whatever you guys know. What are the ways that you can safeguard your username and password? We all do it actually. We all do that whenever, I'll give a hint. Whenever you reset a password, you guys do it. Or even when you create a new account, you have to have some specifications. How can you protect your credentials? What are the ways that you can protect your credentials? Come on, the chat window is open and you can unmute yourself. Anything is fine. Okay, mobile number, email. Okay, are you talking about the multi-factor authentication? Okay, multi-factor authentication, exactly. To get OTP, yes, it's a multi-factor authentication. That's one way you can protect your credentials. Okay. What else? A simple method. It's very simple method which can protect your credentials. Okay, security questions. Good, good. What else? You can do something in the password itself. Okay. Can you increase try different combinations? Okay. Can you increase the number of characters you have in the password? Say, for example, when you create any new account, they have a limitation of a password being minimum of 8 characters, right? Can you not have the password more than 8 characters? Obviously, capital alpha numeric. That's right. Capital letters, alpha numerical numbers, and you can also add some of the signs that you have on the machine, like an exclamatory, at symbol, anything. You have to have the symbols, like special characters, right? So password with more characters, say like 10 to 12 characters with alphanumerical information in it and a special character like your symbols, which is exclamation, whatever that you wish to use. So when you have this password created in this combination, it's again difficult to go on with a method of pass the ticket path because it's not going to, even the brute force attack that's going to happen or the password spray method that they're going to use, it's not going to work because the combination, when you have more, and when the characters are more, it is very difficult for them to guess your password, what it is. Okay, that's one way of doing it. And the other way that we talked about is the security questions. and talked about the authenticator app, and we have this OTP coming in. So these are the multi-factor authentication which you can use to protect your credentials. Even though you need to log into the particular machine with all these information, unless and until they have access to these uh, options, they will not be able to easily log into the environment. So as we discussed, so protecting the application is important, and the same goes for protecting your identity as well. So an identity, which is nothing but your username and password, is really important in an organization that needs to be protected here, right? So we did not talk about any specific product here. We just talked about how a compromised credential is going to work, right? How the pass the ticket or pass the hash or overpass the hash is going to work with the identification part. And regarding the cloud application part, we talked about what are the basics that you're going to do to protect your cloud application. So first, I need to know, or first I have to discover my application. The second thing, again, I need to have a visibility on the usage part. And the third thing is I'm protecting based on the usage. And the fourth thing is I'm going to create a compliance score and compliance assessment that I'm going to do it maybe monthly basis or quarterly basis or yearly basis, so that my organization is protected. And we're going to have the app to app protection method, say, because every single app has its own way of work model. So not every application is same. So we need to have a app to app work model. And once we have app to app work model, even then, if this is not enough, we need to have advanced protection methods. So that again is being given by any product that you're going to take. They have their extended detection response that they have. But what's going to do is they're going to have the data being collated, and with the use of machine learning part, it is going to identify the usage, and it is also going to identify the activity that's happening on the particular application. So in that way, an application is protected in your environment. And we also talked about the identification part. Any questions so far or anything that you wanted to discuss, people? Anything, team? Nothing? No questions? All right, then. So if that's the scenario, then I'll give back the session again to Prem.
Thank you so much, Jagan, for explaining each and everything about the products from the security perspective, and how those security products are actually going to protect any of the applications from being hampered. And we have discussed a lot. So these are all some of the consequences of cyber attacks that we do face, right? So if you guys do have any questions about anything, you're always feel free to post it on the chat window, and we'll be happy to help you. All right. So moving on to the next topic. Yep. So let's talk about the confidentiality, integrity, and availability triad. So this is something that each and everyone must know. And even before moving into this, I want to talk about, like we discussed about what is a threat, what is a risk, and having a threat could potentially bring some like bad things to your organization, but it's not going to directly impact anything unless or until it's going to live for a very longer time. But wherein if you have a risk, which means that you are going to be potentially impacted by it, if you're going to have the same risk in your organization or even in your machine for a very longer time, right? So I wanted to discuss about a vulnerability. Okay, what is a vulnerability? Vulnerability is nothing but a weak spot identified in your application or in your machine. It could be anything, even it can be figured out in your environment. And vulnerability, like when Jagan was explaining, like he was explaining lots and lots of things about like the application security, like the people might use the password, the people might not use the secured password, and we do have PHs, we do have multi-factor authentication. What if these things are not in place, right? What will happen? So that's called a weak spot. What in case you do not have a multi-factor authentication? That's a weak spot. Weak spot identified in your environment. That is a vulnerability through which your attackers can actually exploit. They can come in, they can breach, they can take whatever is available from the machine and they can go back safely. So all these things are happening because there is a weak spot identified in your organization or any organization that you're going to get employed for, right? So you need to be very careful in understanding what's the application security is all about, what the endpoint security is all about, because it could bring in or it could expose you to a very wide variety of attacks and everything, right? So now let's talk about CIA Triad: confidentiality, integrity, and availability. So while we were discussing about threat, risk, vulnerability, we talked about how securely we can manage the applications, how we can host, like not exactly we discussed about hosting the application on cloud, but how we can protect them, right? The ways that we can protect them. So end of the day, when Jagannathan was talking, when I was talking, we were all focused on one point, wherein like protecting the data, which is the information security point, right? So protecting an information. So end of the day, that is what we are going to do it. And for that, we do have three strong pillars within security, which is confidentiality, integrity, and availability. What is confidentiality? Take a take a document or anything. So protecting the the access of that uh, secure document, say for example, like if it's confidential, if it's like you're going to work for a finance based organization, so each and every document that you do have, that you do handle, it's going to be it has to be safeguarded, right? So you have to make sure that you are using your application security, or you can use multiple security products in order to make sure that it's very confident and it's like it's not sent out, or no one is actually like forwarding the email. Say for example, if you guys are all working for an endpoint, or for an organization, or if you are learning something, then you might know about a data privacy, a privacy mentioned specifically for a PDF document, Word document, or it could be anything, right? You might be receiving an email. When you try to take a screenshot, it will be completely black. If you receive an email from your CEO, if you try to forward, then the email will not contain any subject, or it will not contain any contents of the email, right? So these are all some of the ways that you can protect your organization asset, because end of the day, how you're tagging your documents safely, that's your confidentiality, right? And then availability. When I talk about availability, it's like as we were discussing at the very beginning, an organization is consists of multiple teams coming together, right? So there will be administration team, there will be real estate and facilities team, there would be finance team, developers, testers, security engineers. There could be like huge number of people. But do you really want a finance document to be available for an administrator? Because an administrative team might be like having a lot of network with third party vendors. right? There could be a lot of people coming in, there would be a lot of people going out, there'd be a lot of people working as a vendor, as a contractor, right? There could be some other people who are employed in different company. They can visit us and they can work for our company on a different payroll as well, right? So maintaining the availability of your documents, of your data is very, very important, right? So like how you're going to make the file to be available for them, like you're protecting a computer and you are stating like, hey, this is very secure network, I don't want anyone to come here, right? So you have to maintain that level of availability within your organization. If you are being employed as a security engineer, security analyst, or it could be anything, security administrator, you are there to make sure that you're like only giving access to whoever they really wanted to have, right? So you are making sure the data is available for the people who really need them. If they don't need them, then it's not really necessary for them to have it, right? So you have to make sure that you're protecting it in that way. And then comes your very strongest pillar of your cybersecurity, which is integrity, right? How you're going to have the integrity of your application, of your document, of it could be of anything. You can apply it for information security, or even you can apply it for your cybersecurity. Protecting your data, maintaining the integrity of data is very, very important, right? And also maintaining the integrity of the users who are logging in, logging out. People like when Jagan was mentioning, there are like multiple suites of security products which is going to monitor all the activities that are happening in your environment. We can see some of the activities could be occurring from outsiders, right? So it's an open internet. As soon as you connect your machine to internet, it's no more your machine, it's actually our machine, right? It's not secured. It's meaning like any skilled hacker, anyone who has the ability of bypass anything, they can come in, they can breach in, they can take whatever they want and they will go out. So we have to be very, very careful in what we are designing and what we are going to make up with it. So when you're when you're applying for any course, or if you're into your college final year, you're doing some projects, or if you're into already positioned in a company, or you want to migrate from a different technology to cloud security technology or anything, you have to make sure that you know what's the basic of a CIA triad. Okay, it will be a regular question for everyone who is appearing for any interview or even for any certifications. You should be aware about what is confidentiality, integrity, and availability. I'll give you guys a quick tip as well. So if you are appearing for any interview and you might not know, like the interviewer might ask you like 10 questions. Okay, it's not necessary that you have to know all the 10 questions answers, right? So you just have to make sure that you are like correlating things within the basics of security. So if you correlate any question with the CIA triad, you might be able to park your ball over there, right? So you can put up yourself and you can say that, okay, so I know where I'm and this is what is really needed out from my end. So, or if you, this is what I know and I can learn more out of it, right? So you should know that what is a cybersecurity and what's the baseline of security in order to protect an asset, or in order to protect a data. You should know what is confidentiality, integrity, and availability. Based on this, you can go ahead and you can review and you can do a lot of stuff, right? So before moving to the final part, do you guys have any questions for us? Anything you guys would like to understand or would like to know more about? All right. So let me go ahead, and we are into the final part, okay, wherein like we are going to discuss some of the things what beta is going to offer you guys for, right? So what do we have in our bin, and what we can put on the table, and what you can consume yourself and grow. Okay, so basically, within beta, like we do cover lots of certifications which is related to cybersecurity, not only related to like the on-premises security or cloud security. We do have lots of things in place, like an incident handling, how to be a defender, how to defend your organization, and there are lots of other opportunities as well, wherein like the companies would employ an hacker themselves. Right. So they will employ the hackers by the name of red teaming. So they will go ahead and hack their own organization before any other hackers do. And they will let the organization know that, hey, there is a weak spot. You have to make sure that you're updating your security posture to the next level. Right. So we do have lots and lots of things in place, right? So we do have red teaming, we have blue teaming, which is like defending, we have purple teaming, where we can actually go ahead and identify what's happening and how we can defend ourselves, and also like create new detection technologies and create new detection patterns and how to stop them and everything, right? So yeah, where to start, that's what we are going to discuss all about right now. So basically, right now, like you can see each and every one, you can just go ahead and do a quick LinkedIn search on your job section. Just search for security engineer or security analyst or security administrator. It would always end up with cloud security. The main reason being that is on premises versus cloud security. Jagan was also extensively explaining about the used cases of some of the SaaS, like as an application service, like as a service modules, right? So all of the like organization, the companies, the entrepreneurs, like the small scale business people, the large scale business people, the pioneers within the tech, like the tech giants, everyone, if you even you can check the Gartners, like they are all moving to cloud. The main reason being that is it's reliable, it's very easy, it's pay as you go, it's secured, and you can do whatever you want. You can opt for any service. It's a la carte, which is like you can choose what you want, you can leave what you don't want, right? So people are moving towards cloud, and people are looking for the hiring managers, the interviewers, like they are all looking for skilled professionals who do have experience, like who do know about what is cloud security, right? So for that, we do offer within Microsoft Azure certifications. So these are all some of the security engineer certifications that we do offer. So going from the top, it's the security engineer associate, which is a very very famous certification out in the market, and even in the real-time cyber world, people are looking forward for AZ 500. And the next one comes security operations analyst, which things that Jagan was covering with the security products and everything. And the identity and access administrator associate, we were discussing about confidentiality, integrity, and availability, right? So those things would be maintained by an identity and access administrator. And the information protection administrator, it's completely related to maintaining the confidentiality of data. And the Windows Server Hybrid Administrator Associate, it's nothing but like how you're going to protect your server operating system when it is a hybrid model, right? So people cannot like directly migrate from an on-premises to cloud just like that, right? Let's take for example, like if you're going to get hired for an airline industry has to maintain a 40 years of data, right? So in order to maintain 40 years of data, like what in case like say for example, it's Sabre. They are the pioneers in airline industry, right? So if you're going to work for Sabre, you will see 2012 R2 operating systems, 2008 operating systems, which is like kind of very, very old operating systems, right? So like a skilled security engineer should be able to protect with or without a product, right? By providing them best practices, by providing or like building the defenses like the purple team, the blue team, and also the red team to hack and then to provide best practices to make sure they are protected. And then finally, there comes the biggest rival of the entire industry, which is the security architect expert. Right. So, in order to start off with, we always start off with like we don't treat everyone to have like an intermediate level of knowledge. We always start from the basics, from the scratch. So it should be always with what is security, the things that we all have already discussed all about, and then moving on to the next part wherein the associate degree, right? Like the intermediate level, in order to understand the main difference between on premises and cloud, how we are going to migrate from on premises to cloud. Like this is the right time to get the to get certified. The main reason being is because in the recent survey we do have 350,000 jobs, like 350,000 jobs, which is unfilled all over the world for skilled security engineers, right? So if you look back and think, why is such huge demand? Are we not really educated from our college? Or the engineers who are already working as in system administrators, service engineers, enterprise architects for almost a decade? Why are they not compete enough to handle the security posture within cloud? It's all because the skill that we were discussing all these 2 hours of time, right? So it's completely based on the skill. So over here in beta, we are not gonna like make yourself good shape within understanding a level of security, understanding the attack posture, how you are going to validate them, how you are going to verify them, how you are going to build your defenses. No, we are going to skill your level up in order to be within the pioneers of security engineers, right? So we are going to make sure the module is custom tailored, and we are not going to jump here and there. We are going to focus only on certain like specific scenarios wherein like what in case you are in a live attack, what you're going to do, right? So we being like me and Jagan are working on this industry for almost a decade, and we have like more than a decade, and we have seen a lot and lot of attacks, lot and lot of things. We have accumulated over the years of experience into what we can put through and encourage the engineers, newly upcoming engineers, to be very skilled within the pioneers of engineers, right? So like what's the main area of focus? So the module is going to have a basic and understanding the difference between cloud and on premises, how you're going to defend, what you're going to act when there is a live attack is going to come in, how you're going to investigate. Investigation is very important. I do my own style of investigation. Jagan will do his own style of investigation, and any other skilled engineer will do their own type of investigation. There's nothing like the same, like it's never going to be the same sort of investigation that is happening. It will always differ from one set to the other, right? One set of people to the other set of people. So, but within the market, how the hiring managers are looking forward for within the people they are hiring. So we are more focused on how we are going to prepare them for a live scenario. As soon as you are deployed to a project or you're going to work for a product based company, what can you expect? How you're going to administer things, how you're going to come out of things, how you're going to make sure that you are giving the best out of best, right? So that's what we are going to more focus on, and we are going to rely on the subjects that have been globally accepted. So the syllabus would be always from the Microsoft website. whatever is provided, because Microsoft keeps on updating their syllabus to the latest rivalries of what is happening within the cybersecurity posture, right? So say for example, back 3 years back, when AZ 500 was being developed by lots of pioneers within the security architects and the experts, it was mostly concentrated towards the infrastructure side of security. But now that the people are moving more into like platform as service, utilizing platform as service, software as a service, like an skilled engineer from AZ 500 perspective, they should know in and out about networking, and also about like the basics of computing, as Jagan was mentioning, and the cloud computing functionalities. Each and everything will be covering up within the products, and sorry, within the course of AZ 500. When it comes to an a security operations analyst, so it's completely based on a SOC, okay, security operations center, wherein like you'll be put into test with what is happening live, right? So you'll be receiving some sort of alerts, how you're going to investigate with the products. So if you opt for security engineer, say for example, this is completely of your interest. Okay. If you have to know in and out, okay. So I'll be working from the scratch till the extent. So I'll be the basic and the expert administrator. Then you can choose AZ 500, for which you have to put immense amount of time and immense amount of reading and more knowledge accumulated over the period of time. You should be able to understand that as well, right? So it's going to take time. It's not forever, but it will take time. AZ 500 takes time, and by the time you will get to know each and every aspects of the security, right? It's very vast. Okay, the name says it's security engineer associate, but it's like close to an expert level. And then comes the security operations analyst, wherein like you can put your actual skills to test using the products, because people don't really want engineers to have like, hey, your security posture looks like this, improve it. Hey, your engineers are downloading something from non-secured website, go ahead and update them. No, nowadays hiring managers do want them to have some skill set of security product understanding, right? An organization can be protected only using these sort of tools. You can end up in product based company, you can end up in service based company, let it be anything. Finance institution, education institution, let it be anything. End of the day, they will be having a firewall, they'll be having an application gateway, they will have a cloud application security, a VPN. So discussing about the products, discussing about how you're going to protect your security environment within the product is what your security operations analyst associate is all for. Okay. And then the identity and access manager, it's like completely going to how you are leveraging your information security policies to have the availability of what's present, what is not present, whom do you want to give the access for, whom do you don't want to give the access for. There is something called identity management, there is something called privileged identity management, right? So there are like n number of subordinates within the main topics, right? So we will be deep diving into these sections. You'll be having industry led experienced people to walk you through each and every aspects and what you can expect out from it. And if you're deployed into a project, what you can expect. And we will give you like live scenarios, we'll give you the lab access, you have to create your own lab, and you can work on how it is gonna like look in, because like basically we cannot replicate an industry environment, but yes, we can replicate with like 5 to 10 machines. We can create our own virtual machines, you can check, you can manage them, you can maintain confidentiality, integrity, and availability with them. you can check the logs, you can see what is happening, and with the complete security suite of product understanding, you can apply for anywhere, right? So that's what your identity and access manager associate and the information protection administrator associate is all about. And talking about security expert, it's like knowing all these certifications in and out. Okay, so architect is someone who will manage things, who will have to provide a solution for any sort of complicated issues that the client or the customer or your own company is having. So based on that, you guys can go through, you can, based on what we were discussing so far, you guys can go through and understand a few aspects of what is happening, and you can let us know, and we'll be very happy to help you all right. So basically, if you want to explore more in depth, hey, I wanted to explore more about the security engineering perspectives, feel free to contact Shakti or the coordinators from Beta, and you guys can reach out to us via LinkedIn, or you can IMS, or you can give us a call, and we'll be happy to help you by scheduling a call, one-on-one call, and we can explore the areas of opportunities that you guys do have. And from there, we can pick ourselves up on what's the destination that you guys all wanted to reach. All right. So that's all for today. If you guys have anything, please do share it with us. We'll be happy to help. So it's about question and answer sections. Do you guys got any questions for us?
Thanks, Prem bro. Thanks, Jagan. Thanks for your presentation. You guys, any clarification or any questions you have, can you will post it? We'll happy to will answer.
Excellent. Yeah. Or if you guys want to reach us personally, one-on-one,
Any
please
have
feel
any
free to
queries?
check. All right. If there are no other
Okay, Prem bro.
questions, then
Then
yeah,
we'll
thank
stop
you.
it. Okay. Thanks so much.
Have a good day, guys. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Jagan.
Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.